Hello, everybody. This is Akash Inti, and I'm here to talk a little bit about my journey on becoming a biotech analyst. This is for anyone who might be interested in um, the career path of a biotech analyst itself. In a prior video, I spoke a little bit about some of the work that I do. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how did I get there. So if you guys have any questions, comments, etc., feel free to put them in the comments section, and I'm happy to answer them at a future time. So, how did I get into biotech itself, and how did I become a biotech analyst? The story is pretty interesting, in my opinion. It starts out, I guess, going to college and doing some work in college as well as in high school itself. Back in high school, I had a really big fascination for biology, and I did some work at the Waxman Institute of Microbiology at Rutgers University. Here, while I was in high school, I was part of a club where we learned the basics of microbiology, molecular biology, biochemistry, kind of this area of study, and applied some of the and I learned really like the fundamentals of the lab techniques here. So things including PCR, Western blotting, DNA extraction, isolations, etc., so on and so forth, how to run a gel. And I got really my basic training from this club. Ended up coming up with a couple publications on publishing what is the gene sequence or the nucleic acid sequence for certain proteins that are in duckweed. It's kind of like it's like a pond. It's like a plant that grows on the pond. It kind of looks like algae, but it's not. So ended up publishing a couple nucleic acid sequence from there and putting together a crystal structure of a protein. For those of you who don't know, a crystal structure is the structure of a protein itself. We model it based on measuring the interactions, like the distance between uh, certain atoms um, within the actual molecule itself, and then from there we're able to construct what a potential protein might look like. So, had done the two of these back in high school, these two pieces, and moving into college, I ended up studying biology and international affairs. At the time, I knew I was enamored with biology, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna keep going down this path. I love it, really cool. So I was taking upper level biology classes pretty quickly because I known I'd wanted to do it, and I just loved it. So biology continued forward. International affairs I originally took, and it was like, oh, this is interesting and such because I was back in high school. I was the president of Model UN, and I really liked kind of the whole aspects to it of just being very engaging. It was kind of like a workshop, and I really liked that. I thought college was going to be the same in terms of an international affairs degree. Quickly found out that that's not the case. So ended up switching my major because I was like, I don't like this whole international affairs thing. But I took my first economics class and fell in love. So ended up taking my econ degree, and then into my sophomore year, I pretty much just stuck with the classes themselves. I was searching for the opportunity to do some lab work in my sophomore year. Didn't end up happening. It wasn't until my junior year, in my fall semester, that I was able to land a position in the lab. So my junior year of the fall semester of college, I did my first work in the lab with the Eleftherianos lab. It was an insect immunity lab. Here's where I honed some of those techniques, those lab techniques, and got a better understanding of how does the academic research process go. Simultaneously, I also did some work at the U.S. Senate as an intern there, and just got some experience kind of understanding what is um, what is it like to be in an office environment itself, and how to work with this, and such. From there, my spring semester of my junior year, I applied for a market research internship. So it was an internship with a market research company, and it just so happened it was their healthcare team that was hiring. So it was at this time where I found that, like, whoa, I'm doing this biology thing, doing this econ thing. I have no idea how these two interact and engage. And before I know it, I find this market research company that's kind of like the perfect combination of the two. Really, what I was doing there was um, helping market research, as you may or may not know, is helping companies to understand what's going on in their market. And based on what's going on in their markets, they're able to either target their marketing efforts, target their strategy, target their capital raising efforts, so on and so forth. So it was interesting to get this whole perspective of fusing these two places together. That it was there really where I got the whole experience of what it's like to work in the healthcare industry. So worked with hospitals, worked with pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies, worked with industry trade groups, worked with um, insurance companies or payers, and so provider networks. It was cool to just get a whole lay of the land and do some small projects. I mean, some of them are actually pretty large with some of these different types of companies. Took this experience and parlayed it into an investment banking experience where I worked as an intern at a boutique investment bank specialized in biotechnology. Really, the purpose of this type of company is to help companies raise capital. And so it was a very, very interesting experience where I learned quite a bit in terms of the whole capital raising process itself, how to research some of these companies, what is the whole deal making process like, and so on and so forth. I was enamored with this and was just like, oh, this is incredible. I know this is exactly the path that I want to go down. So I spent the rest of my senior year really focusing on this. So I went back to the market research internship because it gave me a lot of good experience. I worked on a cancer startup competition, so um, I just dove in head first. I was like, okay, let me learn about all of these different pieces. And then lastly, I also, or actually second to lastly, I worked at the tech transfer office of the university. So the tech transfer office is where all of the new innovation that's kind of coming out of university is packaged up and transferred into or handed off to industry so that industry can commercialize it. So the tech transfer office is kind of like that in between point, that go between point between academia on one side and then industry on the other. They lie right in the middle and facilitate that transition to commercialization. Lastly, I took a couple classes at Georgetown's Masters in Biotech program, where I was really able to dive in more into the classes themselves. So I took a drug targets and drug design class, really getting a sense of how are drugs designed and how does target selection go about. Took a class on strategy for biotech companies. So how do they go forward and what are the things that they must be aware of as they continue forward. And then lastly, I took a class of, again, it was around really marketing. So, what is the marketing strategy for some of these companies? And and got all these things in. So, used all of these different experiences and went to a strategy consulting firm and brought all of this richness of experience, the diversity of experience to them, and had demonstrated that I know my science through internships themselves and through um, the research. I knew my business through some of the business internships that I had done, and I'm very pleasant to be around. So between these three things, I captured on these and really worked on making sure that I was able to take this experience and move it forward into a research analyst position. So I leave you with that, guys, today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you found this valuable, like, subscribe, comment. Reach out to me. I am really excited to continue to provide some more videos to you guys as to what is it like to get into biotech itself and what's going on in the industry. What are the things that you need to know if you want to be in the industry itself? So, with that, I leave you. Remember to always keep up, thrive, and stay safe.